Hi, everybody. Welcome to another Chats with Children. I hope you're safe and well. Today, I'm delighted to join my good friend David Keane, who is the Director of Pharmaceutical Microbiology at Ecolab, but he's also Chairman of the Pharmig Microbiology organization. Is it organization, society? I don't know what to call it, actually. Was it sort of ends with
You can take
Pharmig
your pick.
Micro? And we're going to be talking about the upcoming annual conference, which has been held in Nottingham on November the 28th to 29th, and it's their 31st
It is.
conference, isn't it? So I remember that last year was the anniversary of the 30th, the all black tie.
Yeah.
Um, so we're going to learn more about Pharmig itself as an organizer, but also learn more about the event. So first of all, David, it is lovely to see you. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Rare week at home, so good to catch
Yeah,
up with you.
same for me actually. So I'm not traveling this week, so that's good. So David, look, first question for people not familiar with Pharmig Microbiology as an organization, can you give us a quick overview of who they are, what they do?
Sure. So, well, Pharmig is a not-for-profit organization. It is designed around pharmaceutical microbiology, but there are applications in the NHS, in healthcare, in things like FMCG and consumer health. And we are the hub for microbiologists to get together and share mostly problems and hopefully solutions over casual drinks at bar or more formal networking events. But we are all things microbiology for the technical pharmaceutical industry and affiliated bits on the side.
Right. And in terms of members, I mean, how many members do you roughly have? And so do they cover all of industry, or is it more academia or industry? How's the split go really?
So membership is pretty much all in industry, and membership is site based. So one site can be a member, but if you've got a site of 120 microbiologists, it can be quite vast. We can't really put a number on total participants. We have regulators, we've got consultants, and then we have a few students, and we have lots of NHS groups as well. But it is primarily an industrial based membership.
Right. Now, let's talk about the event you've got coming up in Nottingham. So I had the pleasure of attending last year, and it was a great event. But for people who haven't had the pleasure of attending, can you give viewers who haven't been a sort of a quick overview of the event, what its purpose is, and how it's structured?
Yeah, so it's a two-day event. It is the 28th and 29th. So for those who go regularly, it's not a Wednesday, Thursday this time. It's a Tuesday, Wednesday. So a reminder for myself to actually turn up on the right day. Um, It's a set of technical discussions on microbiology led by industry experts, but we also have a number of breakout sessions. So we normally pick, around about four either hot topics or sort of general surgery, and people can come to those. And it's a discussion session. People can share problems. And what we do find at Pharmig is that when people share their problems, there's often a solution in the room. So it's a huge networking opportunity. We operate over the 2 days and we run a mix of steriles and non-steriles, and they're mixed up on the two. So we don't have a sort of a preference for either. All things are covered. And then we sort of sandwich that in the middle with a big gala dinner, which is a sort of celebration of the people who are there, all things microbiology. And we also have a big exhibition section as well, which are really important to Pharmig because quite often those are the real experts as well.
Fantastic. And just out of interest, from a personal note, given that my team actually won the quiz last year, are you having the quiz again this year? Just want to know if we can retain the trophy or not.
I believe we are having the quiz, as much as it pains me to perform it. But yes, we'll be doing the quiz. So for those of you who like to participate, there will be options for you. And those of you that are filled with dread, then there's no obligation to take part either.
And I must say, viewers, if you haven't been to a Farming event and seen David comparing, it's a sight to see because he's actually an excellent comparer. I'd say that not in jest, but actually, truthfully, he's a very, very good compare. Now, apart from the sessions, though, um, what else? I mean, you mentioned the awards dinner, but how else can people sort of interact and learn new things?
So, I mean, interaction is everything that we do. What we don't want is a set of conference topics where you're met with a sort of awkward silence at the end. So, as technology moves on, we've got more and more interactive apps on devices. I'd normally say phones, but some people bring larger items. And the idea is to try and get that shared purpose and discussion of those problems. So we might have a topic with a regulator speaking, and often this causes a bit of resistance to sort of raise your hand or acknowledge that your site might have a problem. I mean, all sites have problems. So, it enables us to ask those questions anonymously, or people can take part in polls. And the more that people, the delegates, sort of interact with the people on stage or with the experts in the room, then the more that they will get out of it. We every year we find people they've been surprised by this contamination event, and then they find that they're not alone. There's a load of people who've had this before, and then people can share and get better. So you get out of it what you put in.
Right. And in terms of topics this year, though, because obviously Annex 1 was announced last August, which was obviously
Yes.
before the event. So that was obviously a huge focus on that at the event last year. So what's the focus this year?
So we always split the focus between steriles and non-steriles. So it's not a sterile organization. That sounds weird, but we focus on non-sterile microbiology as well, which is it's much more challenging, because with steriles, it's quite a black and white answer. It's either sterile or it isn't. And you can have a decision tree that follows that. With non-steriles, you've got these different organisms appear, and you've got to make this sort of risk-based assessment. Is this a problem to my product or my patient, or is it okay to have it in the product? So we cover both. So in terms of steriles, we're going to talk about new technology, what's coming on the horizon, what's already arrived. We've got companies who are going to discuss what they're currently using and what they're looking to use, and rationales how to do it. On the non-sterile side, we've got topics that range from microbial resistance to things like preservations or preservatives. And then how do we look after our things like our microbiology labs? A lot of non-sterile companies don't have microbiologists, or if they have microbiologists, they might not necessarily have a lab. So they use third-party contract labs. So we give hints and tips on best practice for making sure you get the best out of those as well. And then throughout all of this is everything to do with microbiology, how we grow them, how we find them, and everything in between.
Right. Okay. Now, one thing that a lot of events have been doing in the last since the pandemic was, obviously during the pandemic, everyone had digital events and so on. Then once the pandemic finished, they were sort of running them concurrently, and gradually they've sort of eased off doing the digital elements, if you like, to a greater or lesser degree. So from Pharmig's perspective, will any of the event be digital as well, or on demand?
Not on demand. We're hoping to get people there. What we find is that, having people face to face in the room, it's really good for the speakers, but that's not the real purpose. The real purpose is to get a group of people in the room to share problems and issues. I keep saying that, I keep saying the same thing. We get people in, they have a problem, someone will have a fix or a solution for them. It's a networking event. We've done digital in the past through the miracle of COVID. Can we say that? And yes, we can get speakers to blank screens, but we can't get that same level of interaction that we get off the audience. So it's an in-person event.
Right. Okay. And as I've got you here, though, just talking about Annex 1 for a minute. Obviously, as I mentioned, Annex 1, the update has been out now for over a year. From your perspective, both in terms of your role at Ecolab, but also as chair of Pharmig Microbiology, have you seen the uptake from companies in terms of adapting the new Annex 1 update? And do you think there are any issues still out there that people still need to address?
I think a year on, we're a lot further down the road for Annex 1. So Annex 1 officially became live, apart from a piece on things like lyophilization, from August this year. So last year there was still this regulation.
Yeah, they had a year, didn't they, to get it right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So
Sorry.
it's not enforced, but people are working towards it. I think what most people are waiting for now is that they have their new way of working in place. For a lot of companies, there's no new way of working. It's an update to bring regulations up to speed. But for some companies, there have been adjustments, and I think we're waiting now for feedback from regulators. So between August and November, when the conference has been, it's not been a huge amount of time for a lot of regulatory observations to come out. About the only real feeling you'll have a word on the street will be from the FDA, and they're not interested in Annex 1. Particularly, they've got their own regulations to look to. So we're probably quite a few months away from actually starting to hear in industry what observations are now being found against the new Annex. And I think that will then shape, as we move forward, how companies will revise the strategies that they have in place. So those that have got a robust one that meets the regulatory's expectation, that's fine. But for some where the interpretation of the site and the regulator are different, then I think you'll see a bit of scrambling as people try and adjust what they've done or that. That said, there will still be companies that are a little bit behind, somewhere in the middle.
Right. Okay. Now, final question for you. I mean, if people have been listening to this and they have not registered yet, and they've maybe still not convinced, why should people sign up for the Pharmig Microbiology annual conference at the end of this month?
Okay, well, it's in Europe, it's in the UK, so it's relatively close to most people, unless you're further away, but there are international airports close, so you can get to us. It's in person, so you get that difference to a virtual event in that you can talk to the people who are sat next to you. It isn't, as I hope you'll attest to, it's not stuffy. It's not kind of cliche and cliquey with people who sit in the same seats every year and all the rest. It's supposed to be an open meeting so that people feel relaxed. We put a huge amount of effort into getting people to feel that they fit in. Because once people are relaxed and more open, then that discussion flows. So it's noisy, it's loud, it's engaging, and it's designed around the concept of fun. So about the only person who's wearing a suit there will normally be me, and that's only because it's the one chance I have to wear my suits. So, but yeah, it's fun, it's engaging, it's all about microbiology, and we go to some really deep technical level. So it should be something there for everyone.
Fantastic. Well, look, I can attest, viewers, having been there last year, it is a great event. Genuinely, just as an outside observer, because obviously the science goes all over my head because I'm not a scientist. But seeing the way people interact and get on with each other, I know a lot of people look forward to this event every year as is one of the events that they have to attend, regardless. So, as I said, check out the link above the video and learn more about the program itself. And it's not too late to register, so click on that link and register if you haven't registered already. So David, it's lovely to see you. I look forward to seeing you in person and your comparing skills once again at the end of this month. And viewers, hopefully I'll see you there in Nottingham as well. And please make sure to say hello then if you are there. And until next time, as always, stay well and stay safe. Bye-bye.
All right.